Hi guys, there were a question from section point 3 from your textbook. The student asked about one of the problem in the turning assignments, number 1, that is coming up here soon. But as I mentioned before, I cannot answer questions on the problem from your turning assignments because those of you will be graded. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a couple of quick questions very similar to that one. So that way, hopefully she can use that to help her to do the one and turning assignment. So the one she's asking for is from section point 3. Again, the one she wants, of course, is number 30. But I'm not going to do 30 because, again, that's in your turning assignment. But I'll do number 27, which is same idea except different numbers. And then also I do 29, okay? So those should be very similar to number 30. So with that, hopefully that can help her. And I think the point of confusion here is the fact that you have fraction on top of the fraction. But always remember, there are 4 things in math means the same thing. A fraction, division, quotient, ratio. In other words, when you have something on top of something, you can think of that as dividing by each other. You can think of that as a ratio of 2 numbers. You can think of it as a quotient of 2 numbers. Or you can also think of that as basically division, okay? So, or fraction. So all that. So anytime you hear the term fraction, division, quotient, ratio, all of that means basically something on top of something. Except here, the things on top of each other happen to be themselves fraction. But that's okay. That's the same idea. It doesn't matter whether they're fraction on top of each other or whole numbers. So number 27, you're asked to divide 7/8 by, and here it is. See, this fraction line means you have division. So you have a fraction divided by another fraction. And by the way, this is why this problem is in section of division of fractions, because you are dividing. So the first observation, of course, is you don't have to actually write that because I'm sure some of you may already know that means dividing 7/8 by 3/4. But if you want to turn that officially into division, you're more than welcome to write the top fraction. And of course, that fraction means, again, division by the bottom fraction, which is 3/4, okay? So now you should be okay because there was a rule in this section that told you anytime you want to divide a fraction by a fraction, step 1, you're going to turn it into a multiplication. The first fraction does not change. So you're going to leave that as 7/8. And then division becomes multiplication. But then you have to reciprocate your second fraction, what you're dividing by. Which means reciprocate means, of course, the bottom goes on top and top goes on the bottom. So the 3/4, reciprocal of 3/4 becomes 4/3, okay? So now, because they also want you to simplify, you can multiply top times top, bottom times bottom, which is the way you multiply to fraction, and then reduce that. I always show my students that the quickest way would be to look at the tops, the bottom here and the top there, top here and the bottom here. If you see any common factors from these two, or these you can cancel out. Well, if you notice, of course, 8 happened to be what? 4 times 2. Now, the reason I'm using that because there is a 4 here also that we can cancel. So instead of making our numbers bigger, we can try to reduce it before we multiply. Now, nothing here, of course, reduces. So now you can actually cancel 1 factor of 4 with that factor of 4, which leaves you with a 1. So now you just multiply across. 7 top times top, 7 times 1, which becomes 7. And also 2 times 3 becomes 6. And by the way, if the answer is in the mixed number form, it's of course improper fraction. It's the same thing as I'm sure by now you know how to go from improper fraction to mixed number, which would be 1 and basically 1/6. And the way you check that, this times that plus that must be the numerator. And of course, 1 times 6 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7 over the same denominator, okay? So this is pretty much how you can do problem, again, number 30 that she wants to know. But again, since number 30 is a homework, it's a turning assignment, problem in turning assignment, I can't do that one. But 27, it's the same idea except different numbers. Actually, I'll do one more just to give you a couple of more examples to look at. And then hopefully that will help the student with number 30. And I will upload the video I'm making right now in a few minutes on your Blackboard shell, okay? So number 29, same thing. So we are asked to divide again 5/6 by 7/9. Okay, so once again, we have division of fractions. Well, you don't really need to write this down, but I'll write it down just to be sure you understand. So that will be the top fraction. Again, this fraction line means division, of course, and then by bottom fraction. But once again, as you know, the rule of division of 2 fractions, you leave the first fraction the same, and division becomes multiplication. Then you reciprocate your second fraction, which means the 7/9, reciprocal of 7/9 is 9/7. And once again, if you see any common factors, always cancel before you multiply, because either way you have to reduce. So it's always easier to reduce each of the fractions or crossway before you multiply versus after. So I can already see 6 and 9 do have a common factor of 3. So we can write 6 as what? 2 times 3 Also 9 is 3 times 3. Now, of course, 5 and 7 cannot be reduced any further, so then you can cancel 1 factor of 3 with 1 factor of 3, and then whatever you left over with, you multiply the tops. 5 times 3, of course, becomes 15, and 2 times 7 becomes 14. Again, if the answer, they want a mixed number form, because this is an improper fraction, that's the same thing as 1 and 115 again, because 1 and 115 is the same thing as 15 over 14, okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and upload this video in just a second for you, and I'll let you know when I upload it.